Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Township of Nipissing Council meeting, Tuesday, May 24th, 6:30 p.m. I'll ask if there is any disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll start with staff reports. I believe everyone has Dan, John, Paul. So first, I want to look over Dan's, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Is that a new chain on the grader?
Month and a half old. We don't know, we don't know what caused the problem. We just think it's like a failure of the chain.
Oh, okay.
So we had our old ones that I kept boxed up and put in the Quonset, so we just pulled that box back out, put one side back on to get us going until they figure out what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what kind of a cost is that gonna be to repair?
Well, it's already repaired. We need to switch back up, like chain is probably 10 grand.
So you are looking into.
Oh yeah, they took the chain with them, and they're gonna try and diagnose what happened. It didn't break at the master link, so it was nothing that, they can't say we installed it wrong.
Oh, I see, okay.
It
You don't get
failed.
stretch in those chains, do you?
No, not in like a month and a half. Like it's big, thick chain. Like the other ones got 11,000 hours on it.
Oh, okay.
They're tough chains.
Yeah.
The grader guy caught it right away, so he didn't do any real damage. So that was the good news. So we just opened it back up, pulled the one sprocket off and had a little bit of chip out of it. So we put one of the old sprockets back on, put the new chain back on. We were back up and running in half a day. So
A bit of a pain.
yeah, and then the alternator went.
Getting there in hours.
Right, it's
Especially
getting,
that stuff.
yeah, it's getting.
11,000 hours, your starter, your alternator, all that stuff's gonna start to fail.
So any questions for Dan? Okay, we'll move on to John Paul. It's always busy with development. There's no doubt about that. Okay, if there's no questions for John Paul. Chief Bateman, here to add.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So we're gonna have to look at the Wolf Lake washing dust / change rooms. That building is not gonna be able to be used this summer. It's for structure, and people have been taking some advantage of it in the off seasons. So the building is unsafe. So we did get some pricing and stuff to get some porta-johns in, but unfortunately, we're gonna have to look into the pricing again. So we'll be doing that this week, and then we'll have to go from there. We have a rec committee meeting on the 6th, so we're bringing it up there as well. And we're getting closer to having the playground installed. So they're hoping to come first, second or third week in June. So it'll be ready for Canada Day.
Any questions for Will otherwise? And you got a fire and you put it out.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, one was a false alarm, the other one was medical call. And I think we've had a grass fire around there too.
Okay, good. Not as bad as our neighbors. Okay, and Chris, everything is on the agenda, so we can move on to committee reports. And Liz, do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I talked about the Phenom conference at our last meeting, and the museum did have their open house, their opening day celebration on Saturday. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend. I did speak to the museum manager, and she said it was a little slow. First time opening this early, so we'll just see how it goes. And that's all. That's it for me.
Okay, good. Councillor Marchant.
Nothing in the past, just planning seminar next week.
And we did see the material in the correspondence. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Kirky.
Museum, got the garden tilled up and the flower gardens tilled up. I was over there on Saturday and yeah, it was slow. Phenom conference, it was a bit of an eye opener for me. It was interesting.
Positive learning experience.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some people that I hadn't seen in years and yeah.
Good. Councillor Scott.
I have not.
Okay. I know everybody has something on the horizon. We had another East Home meeting. I was telling some of the staff today, we got an increase of 1.75% in per diem and a raw food increase. So now 3 meals and 2 snacks, and we get $9.54 a day. That's for 3 meals per person. So, and that's an increase, or pardon me, we went to $11. We were at $9.54 and we went to 11. So that's an increase. So that's a positive. And I think I mentioned last time the PSWs, they're $3. Now it's no temporary, it's per hour raise. Construction project. They prepared a plan for window replacement. And then the carpenters union went on strike. And it's interesting, the main point, one of the big sticking points in the carpenter union is parking in the cities. When they get there, they have no place to park, and some of them are paying $50 a day. So that's, and which again, doesn't have a lot to do with East Home parking, but it's all part of the same union, So that's a holdup because the company that won the tender, everybody's unionized. So they wait. Staffing, increased hours of care will lead to a number of full-time positions, but unfortunately they can't get a full complement already. Additional PSW shifts. They did have an all-staff meeting because they have to develop in-person training to familiarize staff with the new Fixing Long-Term Care Act. So they're doing that. Supply chain issues continue. Now, first of all, the windows came in, but the carpenters were on strike. The roof has a membrane, and they wanted a white one because they try to keep the building cool, not hot. They could get a black one, but they wanted the white, so now they're going to wait 4 months for a gray one because the white they can't get at all. And I think I mentioned last time the 3 big roof units are 33 weeks out. They were supposed to be here now, so everything's backed up. So the job that was going to be done in December will be probably next May. So just the way it goes. But the good news is we have 4 to 6 weeks of food supply in reserve, and PPE levels are well maintained because we all got warned about the monkey, whatever. But okay, anyway, contracts and compliance, because there's a new Long-Term Care Act, almost every contract we have has to be changed. So now we have to renegotiate with the medical director physical therapy, everybody like that. And now there's screening requirements for the board, and the board members are gonna have to be police checked. And that was never before. I think it's funny as heck because I was invited to work at the track meet at the elementary school. And I said, sure. And then the lady called back and said, do you have a police check? And I went, no. And she said, but you're a mayor. And I said, well, mayors are notorious criminals. She said, well, you can't work the track meet. So yeah, I can be the mayor, but I can't go to any track meets. So,
Oh,
and also we'll have to have a police check now before we can be on the board at East Home. And at East Home, they've got now visitor essential caregiver passes being facilitated just to speed up the sign-in process. They also have to have new HR policies, and they have to update the vaccination policy, which was updated in April. Now it has to be updated again because of the new government guidelines. So there's never a dull moment there. They pointed out that in a normal year, they had 4 reports that they had to submit to the government. And now they have 223 reports that have to be submitted to the government. So
do they have like full-time staff to do reports?
no, that's just the people that are there pick up the extra. So you know how well that goes over. But it is what it is. Anyway, so the next meeting is, we have a building meeting in 2 weeks and the next one in a month. So they're, like I said, never a dull moment, but they seem to be able to do it. So if there are no other committee reports, I have a resolution to adopt the minutes. So Councillor Kirky and Councillor Scott. It's number R 2022-120, moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Scott, that the minutes of the council meeting held May 10th, 2022 be adopted as published. All in favor? Liz?
yes.
Thank you. Carrie. Now, we're just going to switch number 5 and number 6 on the agenda. So we're going to go to 6 to the bylaw trailer licensing because we do have a guest here tonight. Sasha Fredette, and if we have any questions, she's from the North Bay Medical Conservation Authority. So we'll look at the trailer bylaw. And I think Liz, which is the one we, 39?
39.
39,
39. That's the hot item.
yeah.
Yes, I was quite happy to see that in there, Tom.
Okay, so that's our answer, and I believe the words came from the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority.
Yes, Sasha emailed, I had asked the question and sent Sasha our bylaw, and she sent back the wording that we needed for the application portion for the bylaw.
Looks good.
So I have a question on that. What is an approved gray water pit? I thought gray water pits were passé or not used anymore.
No, not at all. They haven't been revised in many decades, I think, in the code, but it's a class 2 system and we issue permits all the time. So they are for, typically you would have 2 sinks and a shower would be almost the max for a gray water pit. There is a permit, I think it's 500. Yeah, I've got it right here, actually. Class 2, 540. for a class 2 permit. There's no permit for the class 1. So outhouse, any kind of privy composting toilet. We do have the Ontario Building Code specs on our website, but there's no permit for a class 1. But for class 2, there's you fill out the application, just like in a full septic system. We'll come out and take a look at the area, the type of soil, the proposal, how they're going to build it, that type of thing. And then we'll come back once it's been built.
Okay, then how do you police the emptying of this gray water pit?
Well, so it doesn't get emptied. Basically, I mean, there are many variations, but a typical one, and especially if it's nice soil, you dig down and you dig out a pit and then you line it. The building code is after the sidewall calculation. So that's based on how many fixtures, how many taps, sinks, and the type of soil you have. So there's a calculation we provide, and that will tell us how big the area has to be. So you would line that with either cinder block, or some people will even use the gravel as a means of holding the sidewalls, or lumber. And then you'd fill it with big rocks, essentially. So it's the voids, and you're creating all these voids for the gray water to flow into as it permeates into the ground. So the idea is that's not something that needs to be changed maybe every 25 years type of thing, like a septic system. It's built, they're quite big. Like I said, you can only have up to 1,000 liters per day per gray water pit, which basically your calculation comes out to 2 sinks and a shower. You can't really have much more than that on the gray water pit.
Okay, now a gray water pit, its proximity to the high water line is it the same as the septic bed, or is it farther or closer? But
yeah, good question. So I mean, the Ontario Building Code minimum is 15 meters. There's no setback to dwellings like a class 4 would have, but it would have the same setbacks to lakes and wells. It is a little bit tricky as far as it's not really described in many bylaws, so we would automatically enforce the 15 meter. I know Nipissing has a 30 meter setback to all imported soil. So if it was imported, then it would have to be the 30 meters, but typically we would see 15 meters.
okay, because this bylaw basically is to protect water.
Yep.
More than anything else, am I correct here? That's why I'm concerned about the distance that this would be from water, because, you know, the blue-green algae thing.
Yeah.
That's a major concern in the whole area, anybody who lives on or near a lake, I guess. So.
I know just for our bylaw, all septic systems have to be back. This is sewage treatment unit is defined by the Ontario Building Code, defined septic system. So if that's a class 2, is it still defined as a septic system, Sasha?
Yeah, so that was going to be my next step, was I would have to reread your bylaws. So it might be caught in your bylaws. I'd have to reread it. But if you're saying that there's just saying all septic systems, then we could certainly ensure that gray water pits are set back. And we have that in Algonquin Park. We've just issued, I don't know how many gray water pits in the last couple of years, and a lot of them some of them have pumps, even if they're on solar power, pumps back 30 meters. So it's definitely something that we're used to doing.
Looks like it's 30 meters though, like in our bylaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, for septic systems, for sure. I know that, and all imported soil for Nipissing.
Okay. Thank you.
Will, did you have a question?
So who enforces this? So would it be Mattawa Conservation or Bylaw? And
Oh, no, we do. So a part of issuing our permits, we first it's the Ontario Building Code, and then applicable law. So applicable law meaning bylaws. So we have with us at all times cheat sheets of all the municipalities and where we work, and the setbacks, all the lakes, different bylaws that would pertain to septic systems. So when we are looking at issuing the permits, we make sure that their setback to whatever the local bylaw is as far as septic system setbacks, increased setbacks, sorry.
Okay, so that's for the insulation. What about the ongoing care of it, making sure that it's still up, it gets pumped out, or any maintenance like for a septic system or the class 1 or class 2?
Yeah, the class 1, I mean, we've only really been involved once in a while. Mostly it would be if they're too close to a lot line, then we've gotten involved before. They don't come up too often. If they're malfunctioning, absolutely, we get involved. If someone's, seen signs of malfunction, we're out to sites all the time looking at malfunctioning septic systems, and that does include gray water pits. The tricky thing in the past, and I don't want to open up a can of worms, typically we've struggled with trailers until municipalities put in a bylaw like you're doing right now, which is fantastic. But prior to something like this, trailers are as designed to be self-sufficient in that they're obviously meant to be brought to dumping stations. And so there's nothing in the Ontario Building Code to say that a trailer requires a septic system because they're designed to move around, so that there's nothing in the code. So we lack the ability prior to a bylaw to be able to enforce anything. So with this, it does help us help you essentially.
So some of the concerns was about dumping gray water just on the ground. Who enforces and what happens there?
Yeah, so that's the tricky part that we've been dealing with is, again, we regulate on, and the literal piece of that, on-site sewage systems, not lack thereof when it comes to a trailer, because again, they're supposed to go to a dumping station. So they're not a home, they're not a dwelling. So we can't enforce that they build a septic system. So it's been a struggle. We've worked closely with the MOE because they tend to have a bit more jurisdiction because they can work with anyone who's discharging a pollutant to the environment. And in the end, that's what it becomes, because there is no system for us to help homeowners or property owners move into compliance because they don't have a dwelling. So it's been a real gray area. And we've really encouraged municipalities to do what you're doing. Is if you enact a bylaw, then we can help you. You're asking trailers. So, there are some municipalities nearby that have said no trailers. So then we come into sort of the opposite situation, and that a homeowner or a lot owner might want us to issue a permit for a trailer, but the bylaw says no trailers. So we've really been working closely with municipalities, trying to help everyone get on the same page. So once you create this bylaw saying that one trailer per property, and you're telling them they'll have to get a gray water pit, that's when we can now clearly, easily provide the service of issuing a building permit and help those homeowners build something that is going to meet the building code.
Good, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions for Sasha? And then we can let her go. And then if you have any other questions about the bylaw per se, but I think that was the point of contention. I think, the main thing. So are there any more questions about the gray water, the privy outhouse, whatever? And if not, go ahead, Tom, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm trying to think of the name of it, but the ponds with the vegetation for reclaiming the sewage and stuff. I know we had one at the college in Lindsay, and they drank the water after.
Yes.
Have you got into anything like that?
No, but I went to that college too. So I've brought that up many times. No, it's still just in Europe. It's still not recognized here. So that's not a means of treating effluent, not here, not yet. I hope, I imagine maybe someday in the future, but I think still just Eastern European countries.
There's still nothing yet then, so they couldn't put one in because it's not acceptable yet.
Yeah, it's, yeah, nothing in the building code that would allow something like that. We're pretty limited. And again, with the holding tanks, that usually comes up. People think it's a quick fix, but I had explained in my email, it's not, it's very rarely the answer. The building code's very, very strict in when we can issue a permit for a holding tank. And it's never for a property that's big enough to house a class 4 septic system. It's never a quick fix. It's only in those times where the lot was created that's far too small to be serviced in any other capacity, or maybe temporary because of a fire, something like that. But it's often thought of as a good solution, but it's not.
Okay, good. If there are no other questions for Sasha, we'll let her go, and then we'll see if anybody else has any questions about the bylaw. And if not, we'll put it to a vote. So thank you, Sasha, for your help. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Good night. Okay, so as we went through it, was there anything else that you wanted to look at? Now, the one thing that they pointed out, this will be, they will all get this, and it's a trailer license at the back, and that'll be laminated so that they can see that. And in case somebody has a question about whether or not this is a licensed legal trailer or not, because that will come up. There will be people, we're sure, that will be interested in finding out what are legal and what aren't, you know. I've gone through it, I'm sure we all have. And we'll see if you have any more questions, and if not, I have a resolution.
3 one word, everything covered 3.44, if it's zoning, not 3.4 here, it is in the zoning one. So when people come in, they'll look at this, and she'll have to be ready to explain the lot size and all that.
Yep,
from the
that they
zoning.
would have to go through the zoning.
Yeah, so it's covered in there, so.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I need a mover and a second. Councilor Mark. Councilor Scott. R 2022-121, moved by Councilor March, seconded by Councilor Scott, that we pass bylaw number 2022-30, being a bylaw of licensed trailers within the township of Nipissing. Read a first, second, and third time, passed this 24th day of May 2022. All in favor? Liz?
Yes.
Carried. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, Councillor Moore,
Yes.
did you press to lower your hand, or did you have a question?
No, I was trying to use my hand to vote, but it didn't work.
Sorry, I didn't see.
I've lowered it.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
I thought you
Sorry
were
about
giving me a high five.
Well, no, I was to vote, but nobody acknowledged it, so I'll just say yes or no.
I just like-
Sorry, I just seen it pop up on the screen.
I like hearing your voice. Okay, so now we're going to go back and revisit or visit number 5. This is the bylaw to regulate the installation of culverts placed on municipal road allowances. Again, we're upgrading all these as we go through. We're upgrading the bylaws so they're effective, efficient, and up to date. And the other thing we're looking at here, originally you could only use metal,
You only use a corrugated pipe,
corrugated pipe, so this allows us to use.
poly pipe. Yeah, still at my discretion, you know, whether it's got enough cover and stuff like that.
Poly pipe needs more cover.
Yeah.
one thing,
We still,
Yep.
when I printed the page, it doesn't print the fill for showing like must be granular. So it must be, have to be done in color. I'm just, when I looked at it and I thought, well, where's that? Yeah, it's funny
John
how,
Paul, do you have the new picture?
Mine's a little bit clearer.
yeah, see, mine didn't put any fill in the bottom when I printed.
But it
Yeah,
says,
being-
it also says in there, what is this, 300
Yeah,
million?
no, I just thinking when
Yeah.
somebody ran
Yeah,
one off, they might look at it and. Unless it's the
It
way I.
may just be the way it prints because it's just an overlay on a PDF. So that may be what the problem was.
Yeah, when I looked and I thought, well, where is it?
so
Okay,
the
James?
superintendent still determines the size.
Yeah.
We determine the size 400,
400.
800.
Yeah, I mean, the
375.
400 is a 375 in plastic,
Yeah.
right? So 400 mil in steel is a 375 in plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still determine the size.
Yeah, as I just don't want people to come along and put a 12 inch in.
No, we still determine the size and we sign off on it.
We only made a few additions to, so to number one, we added a provision so that if the landowner doesn't agree with what the superintendent says, that there's a way for them to bring forward a study
Field process.
justifying.
Yes.
Traffic impact study by a certified traffic engineer, so to support their proposal, so there's always an option.
Yep.
Pardon?
Yep. Yeah. No, that's- Field process.
Now, are there any other questions about this then? Okay, well then we will look for a mover and a second, please.
Liz,
Okay, Counselor Word, Counselor Kirky. So it's number R 2022-122, moved by Counselor Word, seconded by Counselor Kirky, that we pass bylaw number 2022-29, being a bylaw to regulate the installation of culverts placed on municipal road allowances to provide access to private abutting lands. Ready first, second, and third time to pass this 24th day of May 2022. All in favor?
yes.
Thank you. Okay. The next one is. I'm so excited. Did sign the one inside. Yep. The next one is number 7, website and social media policy. I was in the office today for a while because know what a hyperlink was, things like that, because never had one, never needed one, but anyway, we're looking at that. So first of all, does anybody have any questions, concerns as we go through this?
So just to clarify what the hyperlink is all about, is it just lays out who we will accept links to our website from. So in our business directory, in our accommodation directory, we do accept links to other people's websites so that we can help promote them. But other than that, we usually don't accept hyperlinks to our website because it's just too hard for us to police. So this just puts it in writing as a procedure.
I think that's the way we do it. Yeah. Don't need any hyperlinks there. And it would be very hard to police
Yes.
someone.
And what we're suggesting is right now we have, we had started off with what we thought was one fire department Facebook page. And then somehow Chief Bateman and myself each have a fire department page that runs side by side rather than together. So what I'd like to do is have one of them transformed, the one that I look after, transformed into the Township of Nipissing Facebook page. And then Chief Bateman will have the fire department and the museum has theirs. So it's just laid out in here so that we have authorization from council to go ahead with it. And this lays out what we'll do with comments, things like that. We don't want to turn the comments off. We haven't had an issue up till now, but it does lay out what will happen if there's a harassment issue or something like that. So that everybody's on the same page.
I think that's a good way. And I think with the privacy and all of it, well done.
Any other comments? If not, I'll go for a vote. Seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder, please. Okay, Councillor Marchant and Councillor Scott. So it's number R 2022-123. Moved by Councillor Marchant, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we pass bylaw number 2022-31, being a bylaw to adopt a website social media policy for the Township of Nipissing. Read a first, second, and third time and passed this 24th day of May, 2022. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Unanimous. Okay, yeah, number 8, and that goes with the procedural bylaw. Yep, so we're just looking at council meeting procedures, meeting space, broadcasting to YouTube. There are a number of the changes where I'm not sure how yours are outlined. Mine are in yellow. Yours might be a little darker. And those are just the changes where it goes municipal administrator instead of CAO clerk. And as I go through right now, and again, because of, I guess everything continues to be up in the air with COVID status and moving ahead. In fact, I listened to it again this morning and they anticipate issues again this fall and winter. So why we're putting this in now is you've all been to the township office. There's no way that all of us are going to fit in that room anymore, you know? So this is going to be our new home. And the other thing is, in here, we are socially distanced. And because we are open to the public now, we can put a lot of public in here and still be socially distanced, safe, whatever. And so that's why you will see the change to here versus the town or the township office. And the question.
Section 9, not just. Sorry,
Yep.
Section 9 is just, if we are going to live stream or if we're doing an electronic meeting, it was suggested by the Integrity Commissioner after we had the one incident where we couldn't live stream. And I had provided him with all of our information to make sure our meeting was valid. And he said it was, but to put it into our procedural bylaw, what we would do if we were interrupted.
Okay.
So that it's in the procedure, so everyone knows that even if we're not live streamed, we are recording and we will post it as soon as possible.
So the only change there, and I mean, it came about because of COVID, because we had to live stream and we had to upload to YouTube. Some townships are continuing, some are not. I was at a meeting a week ago Thursday where they were not. Now, Powassan is going to continue to live stream their meetings, and they have, quote, a couple hundred or more people watching all of theirs.
In the paper.
And, yeah. And I'm not going to comment on why, but anyway, we had decent numbers the night of the trailer bylaw. And we had decent numbers the night you were chosen to fill that seat. And otherwise, our numbers are
It's
low.
hard to tell. People watch it more than once, and when we're checking it, those numbers also ring. So
Right. So the issue I have, that's why option A and option B are here on page 13 of 16 at the top. Is right now, for example, option A would be not live streaming anymore. And option B is if you want to continue to live stream. And my issue is, 2 weeks ago, we had a rental here. And we got $50 for the rental. And it cost $200 to take everything up. And that's supposed to be taped down, whatever, to take everything out, move the TV, move the mic, take everything out, everything has to be cleaned. And then after the $50 rental, everything has to come back in, be set up again, and everything had to be cleaned again because of the rental. So it cost over $200 for a $50 rental. So every time we have a rental, we're gonna lose $150. Now, if it's anything bigger than that, we will lose more than that, you know? And I just thought for our limited number of viewers, basically we're paying $150 every time to live stream. And I thought 150, we can't really use this for a dance or anything unless we do move it all away and put it in the fire room and then bring it back. So my question is, do we continue to live stream when we are open to the public? And they can, if we unlock it, they can walk through that door and be here. So that's the question. Yes.
Is there any other cost to doing this? Like, does it take time to set the meeting up for everybody to go look at it? Is there any other hidden expenses that we just don't see?
Well, right now we pay around $22 a month for the Zoom platform. And for staff time, Chief Bateman does all of the electronics, thankfully, but it takes him a while
Well,
to
I
set
mean,
it up.
like, there's-
It's about an hour for him to set up the electronics, make sure it's working properly, and make sure that the live stream goes up properly.
So there is more cost to this.
Then just the cleaning
Just
twice.
the clean.
Yeah. But if we don't have the mic, or the TV, it's pretty simple to roll 4 chairs out here, and that table's not there then. So these few tables, whatever, you know. So, you know, and that's why I mentioned that. And I still like seeing people in person, you know, that's just my issue. And so when we look at this, if we agree with the procedural bylaw, nothing changes but that. And it's whether we want option A or option B. We currently have one viewer, okay?
You know, it's too bad because, you know, people from down my end, you know, it's a bit of a drive up.
Yeah,
And this gives them the opportunity to sit in and see what's going on in the meeting, and they're not polluting canopy roads and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's my only concern, is that, you know, people down at Butterfield and Black Creek roads and stuff, it's quite a drive up there.
right.
And this gives them the opportunity, if there's something they can look at.
The only thing that I find is usually when people want the opportunity, it's because they have something on that agenda and they like being here, like the trailer bylaw that night. We got a lot of good input there, you know, in person, and we did hear from the people on Zoom, you know, but, you know, it's just in my case, a question of the funds that I'd rather see go to rec versus, I'm not sure where they're going, they're just going, you know?
We also have an issue that we'll have to look at that just came to our attention for accessibility, because we had tried to close caption the Zoom meeting and that didn't work, but there have been neighboring municipalities around us who have had accessibility complaints because they aren't closed captioned. So we have to look at updating the information that we're giving.
So we gotta get a higher platform.
It's
And then
an
we-
app and
Yeah,
Yeah,
then we have to
third
support it.
tool that runs like a third-party app that runs off,
Oh.
or we can sit there and have somebody type it. I know my fingers don't type that much.
I'm already busy.
You're gonna see smoke, Steve.
So there's other, it's not going to be that much. It can be done. It's just one more thing to go wrong as well.
Yeah, but I guess at the same time, you could have someone come in that demands sign language.
Exactly.
I understand your point completely. And for how many rentals do we have a year? Let's say five,
Two so far this year.
So far this year.
But we also shut down the movie guys, and they wanted to come, and we
used to.
say, no, you can't come because it's council meeting night. And Will didn't have time to get them out and get this set up, you know?
We also used to have a fitness class that they
Mhm.
rented in here weekly that we haven't had since COVID began.
Whether they come back or not, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of the things that's missing.
Yeah.
It was here before.
So if we drop the electronics in the room, it's just a matter of moving 4 tables in and the head table.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have to be in the exact same spot because we won't have to work around the TV. So if we had to just throw the tables out, we're 6 feet apart, which we have a measuring device, it's done. So.
There might have been more people.
is there any, like, maybe not today or tomorrow, but in the future, changing this a little bit, maybe mounting the TV on the wall, make it a permanent fixture up and out of the road, and maybe you can run the mic and stuff upstairs later on, like.
But if it's a permanent fixture on the wall, then any rentals, that will be on the wall.
That'll get the wall.
Well, unless you put a cover over it. You know, slide
They're gonna break it, they're gonna break it.
Well, yeah,
Period.
that's,
Yeah, it doesn't matter what
If
it's
you
like.
remove it from the room, they're not gonna break.
You know, we rented it.
Yeah, yeah.
and
But
once,
that's-
and once they're here, they're gonna want to use it because we have requested before. So
Yes, I
there will be
know.
different things.
The other option is upper rental fees,
That's coming.
you know. Instead of
see that.
$50, it's $200.
Now, the rental that was $50 is a funeral luncheon. So
Right.
the way that that pricing point has been set up is for funeral luncheons, it's a $50 fee.
Yes.
Because it's a
Not like
community
it's a
service.
wedding or.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna have to watch as far as transparency's sake as well. That people are gonna say, well, they're shutting us out.
No, well,
the
the
thing
door's
was,
still
though-
open.
Oh, yeah, but still there are people
I mean-
wanna say, that's, I can sit at home and watch it, now you're shutting me up.
But
I don't know, I'm between.
I
see both sides.
I understand both sides and it's a dollar figure.
Liz, do you have any comment?
Well, I like the idea of having the Zoom so that residents can watch the meetings. On the second hand, you know, sometimes the movies come and they want to rent this for a full week. And I mean, then we're going to be asking them to leave on the Tuesday so we can come in and set up for Zoom. So I'm not sure. I like James' idea about mounting the TV on the wall if we're going to continue doing Zoom. I don't like the idea of missing out on rentals though. So, you know, and it is our community center, you know, that's what it's for. It's to be rented out. And even if there's only a couple a year, I mean, that could always increase down the road. So, yeah, I don't know.
The other thing, again, I know before this, I mean, we didn't Zoom for the last 123 years. This is new. And again, we will have also, there'll be another council here next fall. And they can just change the procedural bylaw to go to option B if that works for them, you know?
I don't know, I'm on the fence with it, so
It's difficult because
it
there's
is.
definitely two excellent sides to it, you know?
Look at the council, once this meeting's done tonight, there'll be 2 weekends open for rent. You know, if the stuff was taken down after tomorrow morning, then there'd be, you know, council meetings every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So like, once it's taken down, it could be rented out for 2 weeks between.
yeah.
Once the stuff is taken down.
And again, the only issue is if we don't up our rental fees, as soon as we take it down, we still incur those fees, you know? So if we take it down tomorrow and there's no rental, it's costing us $200 by the time, only because this room has to be cleaned after we leave, and then it has to be cleaned again after the rental.
And it'll have to be cleaned after, if we don't have the TV, it's just all of us here. You know, the floor will be dirty, tracking in the spring, it'll still have to be cleaned.
Yeah, electronic or no Zoom or no Zoom, we still have to clean the room.
Right, but we
That's
don't-
true.
it's the
And-
moving stuff in and out.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you know, when we did have a couple of the big movies that were down here and regular TV shows, they were using this for several weeks at a time. So if that should happen again, what do we do? Say, oh, by the way, you got to move your stuff out on Tuesday nights? I don't know.
What we've done over the past year, when we did have the movies come in and want to use the facility, they rented the parking lot only because we couldn't give them the lunchroom in here that they wanted and still be set up for the council meeting. We lost the revenue for the community center.
Yeah, I would hate to see the revenue lost again. It almost, you know, you start to get a reputation where you're closed for business because we're holding our council meetings in here. I don't know. I'd like to think about this some more, if we could defer it till the next meeting.
This is just a discussion. I'm
Yeah,
just looking
yeah.
for some direction.
Okay,
And to put it out there for thought, that's all.
okay.
Is there, would it be possible to use the training room if we needed to? As an alternate place to have a council meeting?
We can't
Once in a
social
blue.
distance in there if there's any public.
Yeah, then we have
Too
to.
cozy. You gotta be a
Yeah.
firefighter to be that cozy.
That's the only
So,
issue.
I think then we
But
would
then
have to
they-
go electronic.
Then you had,
because
like, you had electronic
couldn't have anybody else in there.
and then say that meeting is closed to public.
And even.
And
on
then
staff.
still give you, I don't know.
You'd have to YouTube it, you're right, from
Yeah.
in there.
Is there enough room in there for council and staff, chief?
Could be, but we'd have to move confidential files and folders and
In the training, is there stuff in the training?
Well,
It's an interesting, that's why.
it
we
is.
could make it work at council.
If we really had to, I think we could make it work for 1 or 2 times at the very most a year. And then maybe look into what it would cost to maybe mount this or
Make it a more permanent fixture.
make it a more permanent fixture. If we need to, I don't know if there's case or what we could do. I don't know, I don't know, but I agree with you. I just look into it and see what.
It would be nice if it could be, oh, sorry.
Because I think you could probably get something that could hang from the ceiling if we needed to. I think if we try really hard, we can make it work, but it at what cost? I don't want to go the other direction and spend a pile of money and have the technology expire in 2 years and then start all over again either.
Well, I think, yes, Tom.
With the screen on here, lots of times I wish we had the PowerPoint projector to show some of the items we're talking about, because like tonight, I didn't get a chance to reprint some of the stuff. And then if we had the screen permanently mounted,
We could put it
we
on
could
this
put
screen
it
too.
on
Yeah.
no, but we could use it for the
We can do
PowerPoint
that
also.
also.
You put it on the TV?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can share the screen.
Never.
yeah.
You can even sidebar it. Have the documents come up on the sidebar while you're still, say, for instance, like Liz is, so she could still be zooming in while you're sidebarring that.
Right. Well, anyway, that was a good discussion. It's only, you'll notice draft on it.
Oh, yes, no, this
So
was
it's-
just for discussion.
It'll be coming up later on. And, maybe we talk to, our constituents and see how they feel about it as well. you
Well,
know?
one of the questions is, what is our average
We can look,
of people zooming in
we can look.
or watching? on
We have to
YouTube?
go on YouTube and gather all the different numbers. So we can do that.
Because I think that's important. We have to know if people out there are engaged in these meetings
Right.
enough to zoom into them or to watch them on YouTube every week.
So the other thing that would change, or that we should be looking at, that was brought up in a privacy meeting that we took in, was not leaving the videos up forever. So a lot of municipalities take them down after 6 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and that way we don't have so many up there, because every YouTube video we've streamed from the first one we did is still up there. So I think it's time to clean that up a little.
Time limit on it, yeah.
But again, we haven't removed any because that would have to be under a procedure of council, so we don't want to do anything
Yeah,
outside of
so we
those
have to-
procedures.
We have to make a procedure for the timeline.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
But all the documents are available to anybody that wants to see them.
So for an example, you don't mind, Mr. Mayor?
Nope,
We're
please do.
getting average about 15 to 25 for regular council meetings.
Ooh,
Um,
where's everyone tonight?
Special meeting, 61 viewers.
That was,
Community of Adjustment, when we had the big one with the council meeting, we had 67 viewers. But on average, we're 15.
I didn't even think it was 15, so that's.
Well, one of them
way-
is us because we have one of our screens on YouTube.
But that being said, that could be, if you watched it 2 or 3 times, that pops up as a view. So unfortunately, it doesn't differentiate from one viewer to another.
But it gives us some compelling information to sort of make a decision one way or the other. That people out there are engaged in these meetings. When we had meetings in chambers, when you guys had meetings in chambers, I sat in the gallery a few times,
Mhm.
but there was usually only 5 or 6 people in the gallery anyway.
Yes, unless it was contentious. Yeah,
Yeah,
Many nights there's none more.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nights, it would be nice.
so now we're getting 15. And I think that bodes well for the community that we're having people that are viewing our council meetings. That's important.
Definitely.
The price of gas now wants to drive.
Well, it's not only that, but they're looking in on the meetings now, whereas before, even when the price of gas wasn't what it is,
They weren't bothering.
yeah, they weren't bothered with it. But we are living in strange times now where people want to be informed.
So going back right to the beginning, when we started, we have a couple here that have 101, 128, 140. So it's hit and miss depending on what's on the agenda.
Yeah. But this tells me that people are going on to the municipal website and checking to see what's on the agenda, am I
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
So there are more people.
Definitely.
People are getting more involved in their local government.
and there's been a change to the way that we do things now. We post a public agenda package so that the public can see everything, pretty much everything that's in the agenda package.
Because it's rich and. Well, I think I know which way this is leading, so.
I do as well, but that will be on next agenda
I don't
or
think it'll
two,
go on the next agenda. We'll wait until the last.
but nothing's gonna change anyway. Still Zooming, and we're still
Yeah.
live streaming, so
but
it's
food
there.
for thought.
Yep, for further thought. So we will move on then. And again, thank you for the discussion, comments. We move on to correspondence. And Minutes of Golden Sunshine Nonprofit Housing. And again, information. And we've heard about the museum board and the rec committee. And we've got, Tom supplied it, and we got the agenda from the North Bay Mattawa Conservation, or pardon me, Source Protection of North Bay Mattawa for January 26th and 27th. Tom, I had a question. I know Brian is leaving, and I know they interviewed, have they hired a new CAO yet? Okay. That, I wondered about that because I know Councillor Britton had mentioned that they were interviewing, and I just wondered if, yeah,
I haven't heard one way or the other.
okay. And then, so,
Next meeting isn't until June.
well, and I would assume they would have Brian Taylor's gone by then, is he?
Yeah.
So they'll have somebody in place,
I'm not sure it's finally.
right? And then we were given just the notice of the open house and public meeting, and the official plan for the village of Sunridge. And then the resolution from the town of Rainy River. We don't qualify for this because we're not on 17 or 11, we're not a connecting link. So this is just an information for us from the mayor, acting mayor. So that would be the correspondence. Any questions, especially the North Bay Mattawa? There was a lot of reading there, but everybody. And, okay, so in that case. Correspondence, and okay, I put it, there it is, right there. So a mover and seconder for the correspondence.
Liz,
Okay, Councillor Moore and Councillor Kirky. But the good news is the next one's small tonight. So it's number R 2022-124, moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Kirky, that we accept the correspondence as presented. All in favor?
yes.
Carried. Thank you. And this is a resolution for the statement.
Yep, this is the actual one. That's just your copy.
Okay.
And it came out late. I apologize. We were trying to gather more information.
That was like I tried to go to the bank in Boston. Bad idea after a holiday week. They were lined up the door 3 times I went, so. Anybody needs a check, you're not gonna get it because I couldn't get it. So we need a mover and a seconder for the accounts, and that would be, okay, Councillor Marchant and Councillor Scott. Is there any questions? Because these were late because of Monday's holiday. Is there anything?
The capital expense.
That's for the town. That was for the cement
Oh,
base for the fire
right,
department
okay.
tower.
Yes.
And also we had capital expense for the office. That was, we installed Fire Pro. So the software
Yeah,
installation, so the fire department section has now been installed.
And John Paul's been working on it with the chief. Okay, so it's number R 2022-125, moved by Councillor Marchant, seconded by Councillor Scott, that the statement of accounts dated May 12th, 20th, and 24th, 2022, totaling $61,336.94 be approved. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. You certainly may.
So for the June 7th meeting, we have scheduled Oscar Poloni, our auditor from KPMG. He'll be coming to make a presentation to give the items that he didn't give when he presented the audited financial statement. So he'll be giving us a comparison of surrounding areas. He calls it the state of the township address. So he will give us all of the information, explain some of the items that have been in the news lately, to explain the differences and our financial statements and how things are working. And then we'll have a budget update. So the next meeting will be mostly financial. I will be out of the office next week, but Kristen and John Paul have everything all set. And Kristen's working on the newsletter. That'll be on the next agenda as well. So if you have any items you'd like to see included in the newsletter, please let Kristen know.
Perfect. And it's just, I don't know if you've been in some of our neighboring areas lately, but there's a lot of questions about budget, a lot of questions about tax rates, everything like that. And for some reason, we seem to get lumped into it as well, you know, like, well, what did you do and how come? And so Oscar will be here to clear up anything that we may or may not know. And it's good. It's a good comparison so that, you know, because every municipality is different, you know.
Well, I find that people talking about our budget, they seem to like it. But mind you, they are comparing it to some of the surrounding areas that,
They are indeed, and they, 2 weeks ago, that particular area had a special meeting about that. And a lot of comments, a lot of questions, things like that. So this clears it up so we all know, you know, and there are different things in the budget that can be misinterpreted, you know, and that's why it's good for us to know, because there'll always be questions, and as our neighbors continue to work through theirs, there's always going to be questions for us as well, because so many people are in both municipalities, that kind of thing, you know. So it's good. Yes, Tom.
Is the Oscar's report, when it comes in, it's available like any other document on the
I would
website?
imagine, I haven't seen it yet. Usually anything that he gives us is something that we can post on the website, or they will share to his screen view.
If somebody wants to complain with me.
Well, even if he doesn't
are.
provide it to us for posting, he will share his screen, so it will always be on the video.
I've read the favorable comments about the budget and the tax increase.
Mhm.
isn't the budget open under freedom of information anyway?
Not all, I can give a budget report. The way that our budget report comes out, we don't post it as it comes out to the website, simply because our salaries are
No,
individualized. But yes, all the total amount for the budget, and we usually try and do a grouping. We're working on a newer report. That's what we're waiting for the new software for, so that we can provide a report more easily that will, but yes, that information is definitely public. It's
Yeah.
just, we move the numbers so that it's not identifiable.
So names or whatever to protect the innocent.
Names and positions.
Yeah, yep. Good, so Oscar up next. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, well, in that case, we have our confirming bylaw and two people to confirm it.
Liz,
Okay, and Councillor Martin. So it's number R 2022-126, moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Marchant, that we pass bylaw number 2022-32, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on May 24th, 2022, read the first, second, and third time, and passed this 24th day of May, 2022. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Unanimous. Okay. The adjournment, I need a mover and seconder, Councillor Kirky. And did I hear you say it, Councillor Moore?
Yes.
Okay. But I did look and I can do it, you know. I'm just saving up for a big one. So 7:42. So it's number R 2022-127. Moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Moore, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:42 PM. Next regular meeting to be held at June 7th, 2022. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried. Thank you.
That's culverts.
Pretty good. We didn't really get much rain. Or usually does his next meeting thing and.
Yeah,
Also,
June 7th.
June 7th.